Okay, here we are. Second episode of the CD show. We have Damian, Alex, and myself here, and we're continuing iterating on our understanding and plans of the CD product. Do you have preferences where to start? I mean, we got some additional data points from some of the customers regarding some of the needs.
I think we should rework this and adopt that terminology of, stage inputs, outputs, checks.
Yeah, it's not that it's really varied anywhere except in these notes.
Yeah. Maybe we can also expand those notes a bit because I think at the end we just like.
Okay, maybe we can rework them essentially one by one. Let's say that we want to call them stages. I mean, they also have inputs and outputs.
And maybe instead of state inversion, like history or something like that, right? Because it's not just one, it's.
Yeah, this is like for the current state is probably described by state version inputs outputs, also checks. I mean, and history.
So checks, it says checks guard block from new deployments, but realistically, they're stop. We've been talking about checks that you want to run after stage execution.
No. This is what is preventing you from being running on the stage.
There should be both, right? So there are ones that are preventing stage from executing, and then there are ones after that that are preventing like process to continue until those are done.
I mean, to me, it's not clear. Let's maybe talk about examples. So kind of liveness, readiness, like it passed, or we just introduced like. I mean, my hope was that once we, let's say, delegate execution to something, Semaphore pipeline, whatever, and once that is done, and if it returns green status, that means it's green.
But I think the main issue there is like you might not like control that execution to your level of like desires, right? So if let's say if it's just like if execution is just like some deploy like some arg or something that is deploying new things into cluster, right? There is no actually like a easy way to write into that testing, performance against that new deployment and some other like various security and other stuff, right? Like you could pull it into that stage execution pipeline by like consecuting another thing inside that, but yeah.
But what's the issue in having pre-execution checks and post-execution checks?
Maybe we can put it down on this conceptual level and then figure out, what that would be, how that would work.
Yeah. Can you just change check guard stage and not block? Third point from the top.
I updated it.
Okay.
Now, what about queues?
I mean, one important element. I mean, maybe the most important one. Is that stages would need to subscribe to certain events and then be executed based on that, and there will not be such. I mean, this relationship represented by these lines are fine here on these, abstract level.
It should probably be arrows should point to other side, right? So essentially,
But
deploy
only if I click
right.
here, I can trace back.
But why? You could render this. No problem.
Yeah, always rely on the latest flow, because flows can change over time.
Yeah, this is showing the current image, not the like.
Yeah.
If you changed, let's say, deploy Brazil to happen after deploy to Japan, then from that point over, like the arrows would point differently.
Yeah.
And I think they were okay as they were in terms of direction, because deploy to Brazil relies on the output of deploy to EU West too.
Or maybe no errors as well, but yeah.
Yeah.
No errors is better, because we yeah. Yeah, but we should make that note, maybe even at the top.
Yeah, we were just dumping this last time. There's not grouped in any really meaningful way, but
Maybe rewrite that like stage subscribes to events or to like outputs of previous stages.
Yeah, and this version tracking, maybe we can clarify that a bit more, since we have a bit better understanding now. So for those inputs,
to me that's the kind of the hardest part.
Like it looks like we will have to like support multiple versions of like different things, right? Flowing through the system. But
yeah,
the only question is, do we want to have like nesting there? Let's say we have a kind of thing that consists of 3 different things and they are versioned together.
I think that we have to do we cannot work on this.
Yeah.
We have to play here first with some concrete things that we have. Which of our processes, Damian, could we take something that we are doing and understand well enough?
I think like the thing that would illustrate this nicely, and it's mostly open source, is the toolbox and various things inside the toolbox. So currently we have 3 different CLIs that are in different repositories, and each of them are versioned separately.
And they're built and then included.
And then we create like a create artifact, like we create a release for when CLI and artifact CLI and other stuff. And then once we create those, we need to update the toolbox and then create a new version of toolbox and so on. So it's
That's a great example.
I think you matched the color of the background almost perfectly,
Did I?
at least on my screen. Okay, that's better.
Okay, maybe Damian, you can dictate. You know that part the best.
Yeah, so there are three. Okay, there is one CLI that is a separate repo. Then there is SPC CLI, and we have, let's say, artifacts CLI. And so we have the process
mean,
goes.
I should
we have,
probably represent a repo also, right? Or not?
I'm
Yeah,
working on it. There we go.
Thanks. But that comes here probably, Damian, right?
well,
It's in-
yeah. Okay, so let me first describe how we are working right now, and then we can like see what are the options, how we would change it here. So currently, like each of those are separate repos, and then basically when you want to change something, you open a pull request to, let's say, one CLI,
Mhm.
and once so there we have a CI pipeline there, right? Once we merge that pull request on master, we get another CI pipeline, and then we create a tag, and on that tag there is another like run of CI, and after which there is a pipeline that creates a release. Yeah, basically a GitHub release, and you get the bit version number. After that, you go to the toolbox, you open a pull request that changes the version number of one CLI.
Mhm.
Again, it passes one pipeline, then you merge it to master. It passes another run of CI. After that, you again create a new tag on toolbox that initiates another version, another pipeline run, and that one creates a release of toolbox that includes the new version of one CLI. And in the end, we need to change our internal system to use that new version of toolbox in each machines. So that is another repo that does, again, follows basically the same process. So
I can probably write it down. So if you are talking about one CLI, so the process is new branch, PR gets created,
yes,
approved, merged. Okay, once it's in the master,
tag from that commit on top of master, new tag on master.
and then we tag the latest master, right?
Yeah, we tag that commit basically latest.
Okay, and that triggers.
Creating a GitHub release.
Okay, great.
Then the show moves to
Toolbox.
toolbox, yes. So it's new branch and PR to, it's essentially completely the same. The only thing is, so like in PR, we are just changing the version of one CLI in one file.
Like this, right?
Yes.
And what is maybe what is the improvement that you would want to have on this process?
Yeah, because there is one other step.
Mm-hmm.
and that basically is the same process on the third repo, that is internal repo that manages the agents. And there we just bump the version of Toolbox inside the agents.
But the same toolbox is used on self-hosted agents and also on
Yeah,
our agents, right?
this is talking about cloud agents. For self-hosted agents, I think you either need. I'm not sure. I think
that there's a new release of, at least when it comes to.
Yeah, but on self-hosted agents, you can manage Toolbox on your own. Like, it's not baked. I think we bump new version whenever the new agent is released, but we are not like creating, I think, new agent for every Toolbox release. You can just copy this process from top.
It's all over again, fully.
Yes, it's a new branch on that one repo to bump the version of Toolbox, create PR, wait for it to be approved, merge.
In which service it's happening on our side? Is it like in Mura or it's on platform side?
It's on platform side. I mean, the processing team is still creating that PR, but on platform team repo, and they need to approve it. You just say here, bump the version of Toolbox.
Oh. I thought that we were going to start with something simple.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a pretty good.
Oh, it is. I'm more joking.
Yeah. So, ideal process, let's say, would like ideally I would need to open the PR on VanCLI, and after that the rest of the things should be automatic, and like the correct people should get notifications at correct time to approve stuff, and like no manual triggers or like creating branches, because also like this tagging master and so on, that's another manual thing that you need to do.
Okay. Fair point. So we want manual work to end here.
After
and
that,
from this point on, it's only about approvals.
Yes, so there should be approval on like Toolbox side, and then there should be approval on like deploying Toolbox into SaaS.
I mean, I can start with something like stupid simple, like oversimplified version for a reason.
There is also the fact that there are 3 different CLIs, and you need a workflow that.
No, it's too complicated for us now. We need to figure out one, and then it will work for the other ones.
Okay. Is that a stage or repository?
I don't know. How are we going to call this platform?
Yes, let's order just SaaS platform. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think those two can be moved for now.
Okay, so what's happening? I mean, yeah. To me, maybe the biggest initial confusion is this element of are we here handling the CI process also?
Yes, ideally, like let's say if we zoom out in this like VanCLI, there should be like at least 2 boxes here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
One is like one is VanCLI CI essentially. CI pipeline, yeah. And once that is, let's say, green on master, right? Okay.
Either
So,
I would say when it's tagged.
Yeah.
This next step should be when it's tagged. Then we should be doing this.
Yeah. The question is, so let's say like this: new branch, create PR, approval, merge. That's all happening on their own, like outside of the system.
Yes.
Once the thing is in master, there is the first question is there, like, are we still tagging manually? Are we tagging as a promotion inside the project there? Or are we like creating a tag and a release in this CD deployment?
I mean, we can do however we want. Question is on what event is this going to react? What's the best for us? I would say in this zoom out view, this should react on
Creating of release, right?
I mean, if we are going to focus on Git-based events primarily, which seems like the smartest thing to do, then I guess tag appears. That could be one event. I mean, once tag appears, then something runs and creates binary which is uploaded to GitHub, uploaded to artifact store, essentially.
Yeah.
And creation of that artifact store is essentially that release deploy. Then it's done.
Yeah. Okay. There are, at least I see several ways this can be done. So the first way is, let's say, when CLI CI part on master finishes, you get a prompt here that says, like, do you want to deploy, like, do you want to create a tag, like major, minor, batch version for this thing, right? That's one way. And then like then the stage creates a tag, and then the next stage is like creating a release.
What if I say no? I should be able to say no, and this is not the place
Then
to say no.
We need to think in the context of inputs, outputs, and those checks.
Okay, so okay,
let's say decision. That decision, Damian, is the biggest question. There is a there is a green master. Is it something which is going to end up being released? And that is the tag event. So if I tag you with a version, then you should continue. And
yes.
How we are tagging it today?
Today we do it on basically you pull the latest master on your computer, you create a tag and you push it.
There could be automated tag creation where you have that approve.
I mean, it should be promotion probably even today, Damian, right? For the tagging purposes.
Yeah, probably it should be promotion. But the issue with that today is that like it could, or no, there is no creation. Even today it should be a promotion. It's just, I think when we established this thing, we still didn't have parameters, promotions, and so on. And on that point, you need to decide, is it like major, minor, or batch version? Because the tag needs to be like created with like, let's say 1.0.3, right? Based on that, we create release and everything else.
So it seems that for this piece, we know that we want to react on tag, right?
Yes, on new tags. Maybe just say trigger is.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this like when CLI part is triggering on new commit, right?
You're speaking about this block?
No, the first box we have on the left. The CI part currently, so it triggers on every git commit, right? And then the only question is like in between. It can be a promotion in CLI part.
Well, yeah, in my head, we are returning to that, biggest maybe struggle from last time. This CI part, to which extent it belongs here.
Yeah. At least I think like we should be able to like seamlessly pull that as a box in here without like need for you to like create a new project and do various other things. Otherwise, like it will be harder to adopt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a box there that like
But
that
regardless,
that reacts on, let's say, webhooks, right? So once a pipeline starts there and once it finishes,
yeah,
and
but
it's just there to
for this second block doesn't care about the first block, because this second block is reacting on a git tag event, and it's releasing it. And the only thing, just to say that it can push out as an output, would be essentially that version. That's the output of this stage, right?
yes.
Nothing else can be.
Yes.
Why? What's the thing here? What should I pick so I can write it? So it's not a rectangle. It should be plain.
It's not in per.
You need diagram shapes.
Ah, sorry.
An output is like a string with git tag, right? Not the like a version, however you want to call that. Yeah. ID.
Can you explain?
The git tag, like the git tag on GitHub, is the input for this, but
But
the
also,
output, but not like a git tag object on GitHub, but like the string in our system with git tag version. Or it's not actually the git version, it's the release, GitHub release, link to GitHub release or however.
let's say that it's a key value for now, just for the sake of simplicity.
Yeah.
So it's this, and then
Let's say timestamp or whatever they URL.
okay.
Timestamp, no?
Yeah, it's a various metadata, but
Yeah,
it's just saying, yeah.
So here the input is actually that was the point, I mean, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, we are getting somewhere.
The one thing, if we not go much further, can we just go back to this?
Mhm.
Can you scroll a bit more on the left? Is if like, let's imagine that we have this page like this now, right?
Mhm.
Ideally, I would love to see on this page also like this when CLI part, that it was green, like who created it and when. And also for this git tag, like who created it or something like that. I would love to see like connection between these two somehow.
So the main metadata that you want to see here, definitely that is green. Okay. The result
Not
passed.
necessarily, yeah, not necessarily in this release.
This just generates a release.
Yes.
We
Yes.
need the previous stage, uh, which is
No,
the
but
CI
this
part.
stage has a state. It can be failed, passed, whatever. I mean,
Yes.
the latest
Yes.
Yeah.
latest sample.
Yeah. I'm just talking like how it is drawn out right now. We don't actually have a connection between this CI part and this release creation on
Yeah.
this screen, and we don't see like who created the git tag.
Clear, clear, clear.
Yeah. So this when CLI release stage needs to listen on CI part.
No, it's listening on the Git. It's not listening to the CI
Well,
part.
okay, we will have the same issue on the next part, but either way, so let's just go for a second on the right, because here like we created a release and output is this like metadata, right? And the next thing, is it triggered by new
This
release or is it triggered by output here? So it listens on this output, not on
Yes.
things appearing on GitHub, right? If that's the case, then I would say that like this on the left should also listen on the output of the block that creates the Git
yes.
tag and not directly on Git.
Yeah.
Because then
I'm changing it. I'm changing my previous response. um, hmm.
yeah, that's a part that wasn't clear to me even yesterday when we were discussed, but like
Yeah,
we switched to something else.
think the CI pipeline generates this git tag as output.
That's clear, and that's clear.
And then this release stage listens to that.
The thing is that Damian, in the implementation part, I mean, from what we gathered so far, the main thing is that everything should be triggered by a git tag, by a git. You know,
Yeah, but
I-
it's question. So like you could say that like this everything here is triggered by a git commit, right? On the previous.
Yeah. That's like code version or whatever.
but there are things that cannot be triggered by a git. So this is, I think, again going back, this is an example. Next stage should be triggered mainly by a release appearing on the
But it's
on GitHub. But then the question is like manual approval. What I mean, manual approval can be, broadly speaking, various things. It can be click on a button here, but it can also be that someone needs to go in Toolbox and somewhere say, I don't want to use 111, I want to use 112. And then this reacts to 112 being, put into a certain file somewhere. because then the whole approval process, let's say there Nandor, Danilo, and Radek have to approve, essentially change to the toolbox. And there will be a need for manual approval. So just to zoom out and say, if we don't rely on Git and approval process and reviewers there and maintainers and all of that, then we have to build all of that here. And that pushes up that it should be Git driven.
Well, we do need to make approvals here, right? That's the. So like there are two ways. Like if it's okay, this is a perfect place to illustrate that. So these promotions, like any deployment or stuff like that, the issue is that it creates two things. One is like usually one is some Git commit that needs to happen that changes the declarative state of the system on GitHub, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it would be updating Toolbox to have this new version of Van release.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is the pipeline that actually deploys that, like once the thing is changed in GitHub.
Okay.
That deploys it wherever it needs to go. I'm not sure if those are two separate stages or if those should be one stage. And if approvals are happening on GitHub, then we need a pipeline that either someone needs to commit that change and like create it manually and then approve and then so on.
This could commit. This could commit to Toolbox theoretically and create a pull request. Because if that's not going to happen, then this is kind of staying as manual it was before we started.
Yes. So this is committing to GitHub.
This, right? It's creating a release and it's committing into a toolbox and opening a pull request. And then
we don't need a toolbox says thing here. Then this toolbox box would also again just create a release, right?
Let's in descriptive way just write down what this should do. So by this point, it was clear that should it also build or should it only upload a release to GitHub?
Well, what this does right now is it creates a binaries for all supported. So this is a CLI, so it creates a bunch of binaries and zips them up and then pushes that zip and creates a GitHub release that contains the zip and like metadata nodes and other stuff. But yeah.
That's it, right? More or less.
Yes. Well, this second part is like consists of like you create a release, then you upload banners. That like it's there are multiple steps, but it's okay. The issue with these like things also like if this thing also creates a commit and works on Toolbox, then you need credentials and everything else here for Toolbox.
But that's
and
but without that, it will not be nice. So yeah.
Well, there is an option of like, okay, this just creates a release. Then there is like one Toolbox box that reacts on that release and creates a commit, and it only has like access to Toolbox, right?
Yeah, either bake it in, or as you said, we have. I mean, we will have to try both options.
And why is having those credentials in a secret a problem?
You shouldn't like at least in my hand, like you should like all of these should be like that principle of least privilege, right? So this one, if it operates with one CLI, it should only have access to one CLI. And then the next one should operate with Toolbox and only have access to Toolbox. It could, or you could like.
Can be that way. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, that's true. But
because
either way,
if it's not, this will not react on a Git event.
But okay, and if approval is like merging on Git and we don't have any approvals here, how do we know here who authorized what and like who approved it? And
well, that is, we don't. I mean, we can get it from the GitHub API.
yeah, but
point is that the process is living there, process of approvals and so on.
But I think like we will lose a lot then here. Like this is no longer like a one source of truth where you can like say on first glance like, okay, this was created by Damian, it was approved by Nandor, it was.
But we have to pull that from GitHub anyway. I think so.
Well, not necessarily, right?
And we can take it here, but you know the thing is.
It should be like, I think at least like GitHub in this sense shouldn't be like a mode of operation. It should be like a backend system here.
Yeah.
So like somewhere here, Nandor should go and say like, okay, there is this version. I just click approve and then it goes on. And then like under the hood, we could switch GitHub for SVN or whatever. But like the approvals and other stuff should happen here.
But should we be
but then we have to build it all here, and then a lot of management is moving here. And what is management? You have to know who are the people who can approve that.
But we need to have approvals either way. Like we cannot implement this without approvals. For GitHub we can, but not for like deploying stuff, let's say to Kubernetes or.
I mean, the check there is an approval needs to exist for various different workflows. You need to have a check that's like approval. So that part of the system has to be created either way. Whether it's good to use it in this particular use case or not, that's a different thing. And I think either of those two options makes sense. Depends really on the end user. But we would have checks with approvals for sure. That will pop up as a use case. Something that says,
that's clear. That's clear.
So I don't think we can avoid implementing that, but whether it's something that should be done in this use case, it's yeah.
So let's write down the options. So Toolbox can react on. What do we have now? Option A. Reacts on this output.
Yeah.
Reacts on these two variables. One being when released, the other one being, let's call it URL.
It just needs a version. It doesn't like. Can you just put in one when release version, like, or v1, 2, 3, whatever, just so.
I'm not for putting that in because it's not drawn anywhere here.
Sorry, what?
I think it's not represented anywhere here. I mean, we have only these two.
It is, but like the main output of this is not when release, it's this v1.1.2. That's the important information here in the output. It's that string that identifies the version. Yeah. So you only need to add in this one. You need to add a v something. Yeah.
But I need to include some pointer to this back, so I can say when this or I mean.
Yeah. Okay, but.
Yeah, that's one option. in that, and in option A, this would do what? This would commit to Toolbox and create a pull
Yes.
request.
Well, it's a question. Like if we are,
Or it can run a promotion which is going to commit.
it can commit directly without pull request if it's just version bump that doesn't like, either way it's not like something that needs actual like review, right?
That brings us again where the approval is being made.
Either way.
I mean, for SDLC compliance reasons, people are not going to fly without approval on GitHub. I don't think so. I don't think that, commit can be made there, pushed into master without approval happening there. But let's maybe stop here
Yep.
and continue next time. And we can think about this because this is actually ran into quite a big
Yeah.
quite a big thing.
It's just about making a decision, but
Yeah, of course.
yeah, simple as that. But
Okay,
yeah. What
like,
do you think?
subscribe, and see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.